All right, let's take a look at where we left off last time. We have our Space Invaders logo comes down, we hit start, and we have this timeline that we can adjust that launches our game UI panel. And I really should just name that as game panel. And inside this game panel, we have this image here. I'm actually just going to go ahead and hit none. And this game panel will serve more as like kind of like an empty game object. And so let me go ahead and remove these two components here as well. And then I want to lock all this stuff in. So I'm going to actually make this a prefab. And inside of our Space Invaders folder, I'm going to give that its own prefabs folder. And I'm just going to drag this in there. So we're locking in, like we always have kind of a reference to this canvas object. And if you want to see what's inside of it, you really can just double click it and it'll open it here. And you can see here's all our panels. Now let's see, I was going to say scripts and stuff. Yeah, that's all carried over, which is good. Now, because we're going to be using essentially just a pretty basic setup here, let's go ahead and create our characters. So I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to go to Package Manager, and I'm going to go instead of Package and Project to Unity Registry, and I'm going to look for the Pro Builder package. So these are all in alphabetical order, so just go down until you see P and select Pro Builder and go ahead and install that. All right, now that's installed, let's close it. And I'm going to use that to create a top-down tank. So if I hit 2D here, this is really what our canvas is going to look like for Space Invaders. And so I'm going to just do something very simple. So I'm going to go to Tools, Pro Builder, and do Pro Builder Window here. And let's check off 2D for a second. I'm going to build it out here, and then I'm going to rotate it upwards. So let's go to New Shape here. And our tank is going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be a cube, which I created a plane. And actually something else that we need to install, I keep forgetting because we're using URP, is go to the Package Manager here, select Pro Builder, and then look for, I believe it's Samples, and it says Universal Render Pipeline Support. The reason for this is if you don't install this, when you go in here to make the shapes of like the cubes and stuff, they just show up gray and they don't have the default Pro Builder material. So watch what happens after I import this. Now it's imported. I'm going to go ahead and delete this same cube. Let me hit W to lock that in. And it looks like it didn't take. Maybe I have to close Pro Builder altogether. Maybe restart the project. Let's try both of that. So let's first see if we close Pro Builder and I go to New Shape here. Still gray. And it doesn't look like it's applying that material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and restart my project. So after restarting my project, it looks like it worked. So let's go ahead and just create a little grid. I'm going to hit F to focus here. But you see, this is really huge. And honestly, if we go to Game Object, 3D Object, oops, not that. Game Object, 3D Object, Cube, we generally want to start out with something this size. And let's go ahead and reset the position. And then I'm going to hit F to focus on that. So it's up here. Now we could take this cube, and because we have all this stuff, we could Pro Builderize this, and this will make this a Pro Builder cube. But we want to use what's here. So I'm going to hold Shift, and or actually Control, is it rather? Control snaps. I know there's a way to just get it to just make a cube. I'm just forgetting how to do that. That's okay. We'll just drag this out for a second, something like this, and go up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another shape here, and it's just going to be a cylinder, something like this. Bring this up. I wonder if I could still adjust the number of sides on this. Yeah, I can. Okay. So just holding my left mouse button here on the word sides counts and just kind of moving left and right. You could also just type in 10. what I'd like to do is, let's center pivot too, so it's right there in the middle. I'm going to hit F to focus on this, and from the top view, I'm going to grab these verts and just drag them out like this. And notice it didn't grab the bottom ones, and that's because we forgot to turn on Select Show Hidden. So let's actually just go to the Y-axis here. There we go. It's probably easier. And with Select Hidden off, we get something like this. And we still get this. It still selects the bottom. I'm going to hit R here. And there's our tank tread. And I'm going to hit R, scale this down. Let's rotate this on X. Well, let's just, before we do all that, we'll just, again, just kind of build it in this view, and then we'll rotate it. So here's my tank tread. Just going to move it to the side here. And I'm going to hit Control D and move that to this side. That. And then on the front of my tank, I'm going to make a new shape, which is a cylinder, and I'm just going to make it pretty big, like a big nozzle there. And then I can select all these faces. I know they're not going to see, the player's not going to see the front here, but just because I think it'd be cool and to show you something else, I'm going to select all those faces, make sure none of the other ones are selected. I'm holding Shift, Control Shift. No, it doesn't look like it deselects. It looks like I got something else, because otherwise it should be in the center. Let's actually, oh, this isn't even centered. So let's center pivot on that. And then as we select these, it should default to the center. There we go. I'm going to hit R, and I changed it up here. Hold Shift, bring that in. Hit W, hold Shift again. And there's just our nozzle. And if we want to add even more effect, I can just kind of draw big, because I want to grab those inside guys and scale that out. And scale this in a little bit. Now what we can do is select all of these, merge objects, and you'll see my pivots somewhere else. I don't know where it's at. Oh, it's there. Okay, then we're going to hit center pivot, and then you'll see here's our tank. Now if we rotate it 90 degrees, minus 90, and we just kind of position it towards the bottom here of our camera. We've got our tank that we can move left and right. And let's just zero out our X here so it's dead center. And we can actually bring our camera back a little bit if we want. We'll play with our camera more later, but now what I want to do is I want to attach the cube, which is really my tank, so I'll just name this player tank. And we could even be more generic with this tank. I think it's got a cool shape, but let's just grab the all the verts and open vertex colors. And you can really color it any color you want. I'm gonna just make mine a green color, just to have it stand out. You can make it pink if you want. And I'm gonna grab this tank, and I'm just gonna drag it on top of, let's open our canvas here, game panel. So I'll deselect that. Now when I press play, we have Space Invaders, start, 3, 2, 1, boom, there's our tank. And we could also animate this kind of moving in and then have it start, but I think for a second game, we've already done some animation. I don't want to overcomplicate this. So here is our player tank. And then last thing we'll do is, let's turn this visibility on, is I'm going to hit Control D. And actually, for this one, let's drag it out really quick, both of them. And I'm going to reset the sort of the transform or freeze transform here so that that's the locked in position. Because when we go to code this, we're going to be using its current position, and we want to make sure that's 0. So on this one, we're going to rotate this one 90. Let's see. I'm going to rotate this one 90. No? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to rotate the X 90. Sorry, I didn't freeze transforms yet. And then I'm going to grab all those vertices. Let's move this down a little bit here. And these guys, there's going to be a lot more of them than mine. So make them a little wider or something. Grab all those verts. And I'm going to be super generic here and just make this like a reddish color. And this is going to be my enemy. So if I grab both of these, make sure my transforms are frozen and each one of their pivots are centered. And then notice it kind of messed it up. So we want to freeze transform to wherever that pivot is. And then I'll grab both of these and I'll drop it on the game panel. And then it doesn't really matter if we hide it or we don't. Now this number here, this timer, we should have it disappear. So Space Invaders start 3, 2, 1. Oh, we do have it disappear. Okay, and then in the next video, we'll script our shooting and our tank movement.